I panicked earlier. I was like, I can't get it. Yeah. So one of the ways that we can set this up, you guys have a lovely setup, but you can also set up the mat long ways. I kind of like this for a seated only yoga class, is to set it up here. Now, if I was going to do a standing and a seated class, I would set up long ways so that they had somewhere to go in front of and behind their chair. I like it long, but don't feel free to keep it like it is. You don't have to get up and change it. I just like to do this because it gives my feet some place to go. And actually, because this is sturdy, I'm going to only put my front of my chair. So there's several ways to do the yoga mat. Long ways like you have it, full chair on, or kind of like this, where it's part on, part off. And then you have a place for your feet. Now, bolsters, we're just going to keep them to the side for now, but you can put them in the chair and sit on them if you'd like. You can also have blocks out to the side or in front. Again, you can try this to have your feet on. It feels kind of nice. It's just something different. And then the strap just close by. We'll play with that as we go. Let me grab the blueprint to make sure I stay honest and teach you what I said I was going to teach you, because occasionally I like to just go off the rails. All right. Oh, do you have different height blocks? Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean just in general? Yes, I would. So the way that I get around that is I say grab the same color. At least in our class, that's what I do. Because typically, if they're the same color, they're the same height blocks. But it's fine if you don't have it. But look at their feet. And if you see like they're sitting like this, just go trade it out for another block. Now, the one thing I want to make sure before we get started in our chair yoga class is that you're sitting up. And since this is the beginning, I like to let them lean back against the back of their chair and use that support. Hands can be open or closed, but relaxed along their legs. And they should be in a comfortable place with their hips. So if they want a foot on a block to get more comfortable, then that's what we could encourage them to do. Yeah, awesome. Let's go ahead and start class together. So we're going to close our eyes. Make sure we're sitting in a comfortable position. Just inhale and exhale. And we're going to learn a breath today. If you've never learned it before, you may have. But this is a breath that has been researched, and evidence has shown that this is the most powerful tool for stress management, the most powerful breathing tool. In fact, it's used sometimes to teach people who get very anxious, maybe even to the point of panic attacks, how to stop that and how to shift out of that a little bit by switching the nervous system over into more of a restful state. So I want you to imagine that you're just looking in front of you at a square or a box. Some people call it a box, some people call it a square. I want you to see those even sides. I want you to imagine tracing that square just in your mind or with your finger in front of you if you want to. Tracing up one side, across the top, down the other side, and across the bottom. I want us to match this with our breath. So as you trace up one side, take a big breath in. Hold that breath as you go across the top. Take a breath out as you go down the other side. And then hold that breath as we go across the bottom. Up, inhale. Hold across. down, exhale, and hold across. Just continue. Then, like any good square, this has even sides. So let's add a little count into our breath. And this count is your count, but it's a 4 count. So as you inhale again, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, holding the same amount. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, up the one side for 4, across for 4, down and across. This is your 4 count. So it might be a little faster than I counted or slower, but it's whatever it is for you. Feeling your body relax. Allow your breath to return to normal. Just an inhale and exhale, noticing that new relaxed state that you're in. And let's check in with our spine. So we want to bring our head nice and lifted. We don't have to lift our chin, just lift our head. Ears over shoulders, over hips. Kind of engaging the core a little bit here. As you exhale, really pulling that belly in and up. Inhale, it can relax and keep the height that we have. Now, sitting tall with our eyes open, we're going to add in a little movement of the upper body. Let's just take a couple shoulder rolls back and down, just kind of waking up our body. And then forward, shoulder rolls. Then we're going to use our arms. We're going to reach to the sky, stopping at whatever point we come to, and exhale, pull those arms down to our side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull. We call these moonflower arms. Inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, release our hands. If we want, we can take our feet off the blocks or move the blocks wide. I'm going to take my feet off, and then I'm actually going to scoot my hips a little bit forward in my chair so I can open the legs nice and wide, going into sunflowers where I inhale. This time, I sweep the arms right here, inhaling up and sweep the arms. And then you can add some forward flexion if you want. Inhaling up, exhale, forward flexion. Inhale up, exhale, rounding the spine down. Kind of let the head hang too. Inhale and exhale. Reaching up. We're going to stop about halfway. From here, inhale. As we exhale, let's just take it to a simple twist to one side. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist other side. Good. Inhale and exhale. Resting center, we can release our hands if we want, lifting our heels up for a little calf raise. So dropping and lifting. Good. Just finding a little bit of flexibility in our ankles. Sometimes we don't think too much about our feet. So we're going to do that today. So as you lift up, pressing into that big toe, and then making sure you're also pressing into that pinky toe. So we're getting a nice splay of our toes and dropping our heels down. Good. You can't see my feet. Oh, okay. You want to adjust it for me? You can zoom out a little bit. Awesome. Thank you. You're hired. Every Yoga Friday, you're going to make sure you can see my feet. All right. I could check on my watch, but it's not showing. I zoomed in on my watch. Oh, gosh. Okay, now you really have to watch the video. I hire her as my camera person now. All right, feet flat, and we're going to move into some of our vignettes. So these are our poses that we're going to do together. And the first series is going to be facing front, kind of with wide legs like this. We're going to change this to warrior legs. And again, you're seeing behind the scenes a little bit. So think about in a standing yoga pose, we would do our warrior 2, reverse angle, all that with our legs here. So in our chair, we'll kind of scoot to the edge. One toe points out, the other extends and points forward. Yeah? So it's kind of like you're in this anyway. You're just taking some of the weight off of your feet. And if you have someone that needs blocks, just have them, build up, especially that front leg. Back leg is the one that tends to kind of do nothing. So a couple things we can help them with. We can walk it forward for more stability. We can walk it backward if we want more flexibility there. We can also press into that pinky toe and aim those toes forward. Good. Inhale, arms reach. We're just going to look over that left hand. This is our warrior 2 in a chair. Moving into extended side angle. Take a big breath. Supporting on that left hand, kind of pressing into the leg, finding some energy through our biceps. Reaching up to the sky to start. That might be enough. If you want more, you can make a long line down the side of your body for extended side angle. You decide where you want to be. But I really want you to think about that left arm and the supported arm. Are we leaning down into it, or are we kind of using the strength in that upper body to press us up here? Circling back into warrior 2, take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, drop the right arm back without any pressure on the leg, reaching up the left arm. This is just a placeholder arm, so if we want to bring it to our hip, we can do that. But I just like to kind of hang it down on my leg. Feels nice. We're going to combine these 3 poses, making them into a little vinyasa, or link them with our breath. So inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, reverse. Continue, inhale and exhale, moving with your breath. Don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. And then really let your breath guide the pose. I think I keep touching my watch is the problem. Inhale and exhale. We're going to rest back in warrior 2. And then I don't have this on your class blueprint, but I love this transition. Extend both legs out and come into a little variation of triangle. So it's not quite triangle, right? Like our toes are pointed differently, but I want you to encourage pressing through the front of the toes. You'll find that that is kind of hard. It's easy to do this little kind of lean back thing. Try to point the toes and not lean too far on that leg. Bring your hands back to center, and let's set up on the other side. If you need to, walk your legs in the center and take a couple little, calf raises. Sometimes I will tell you, having your legs that wide for that long is a lot for some people. So bringing them back in, giving them something, maybe giving them a posture break. So something that works really nicely for a posture break too, besides this, well, I'll show it to you next time. But this is a nice little posture break. Don't worry about what's going on here. Just let them kind of do this rounding forward thing. And if you want to round, you can. Let's go to the other side. So one leg out, pointing. So your left leg this time is going to be pointing forward. Your right leg is bent and on the ground. Yeah, good. Arms out, gazing over that right hand for warrior two. And we're still kind of toward the front edge of that chair. It helps. Big inhale. And then exhale, using that right hand, pushing against the leg, finding side angle or reaching over and extending. Moving back into warrior two. Big inhale. And as we exhale, tap that left arm back, reaching the right arm to the sky for reverse warrior. We've done this before, so now you know what's coming. Let's add it to a breath. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale to the side. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, reverse. Inhale and exhale. Just continue moving with your breath, your timing. Resting warrior two, we can extend our legs out, tapping that right arm down for a variation of triangle. Release the hand and bring our feet in. Here's my other favorite posture break. I let them round forward and then open. So inhale and exhale, rounding and opening. It also helps kind of warm up upper back, swimming the arms forward and opening the arms back. So you can kind of feel how you're just moving the spine. And you're also working on that flexion and extension. You're so good. Thank you. All right, resting center. New position for the body. So we have kind of our front-facing wide leg series. This is a side facing. So you'll want them to scoot pretty close, and you can do this too, pretty close to the rear of their chair. When we get into this position, I want you to remember that the back of their chair is that way, and the back of your chair is this way. So we don't want to do a lot of pointing, and you don't want them to follow you. So you'll kind of say things like, look at the back of your chair, hug it tight with your left hand, scoot your hips close to it. And then to get into more of a lunge position, you might have to scoot your hips closer to the center, play with it, but you're going to take your back leg off in a lunge. Now you have the back of the chair to hold on to for security. Make sure the arm's going over the chair and they're not holding on for dear life with their hand here in the front. You can go as close or as far away. Your lunge can be as narrow or as wide as you want. Good. When you're ready, inhale, reach to the sky with your right hand. You're going to lean away from me, getting a little lateral stretch. This is one of my favorite stretches. And if we let that knee drop, we're getting into the psoas, that one muscle that's kind of connecting upper and lower, the one that gets tight and we get a little uncomfortable when we've been sitting for too long. So this is a beautiful midway through class stretch. Coming back to center. Now, we can take one or two arms, dropping down to a goalpost. We have 90 degrees here, lifting the chest and kind of leaning back. If you feel like your balance is there and you're comfortable, take your other hand and match. We do have to support ourselves with our legs a little bit here, especially that back leg. So that's why we have the toe down, the heel up. Feel free to hold on with one arm, lifting the chest. Coming back to center. This time take both legs together, and we're just going to turn to face the back of our chair. You can hold on to this chair and give yourself a little bit more of a twist. So yeah, we're using this chair. Now think about the muscles involved in a twist. So you'll want to really pull your left shoulder back and squeeze that right glute. So you're getting into the twist, not just pushing and pulling with the chair, but pushing and pulling with the muscles that you have. Slowly releasing, and let's go to the other side. So the kind of behind the scenes here too is we did that little flexion and extension both in the beginning with the sunflowers, also as a posture break. But now we're getting the lateral flexion and the rotation. So coming back into the lunge position, take a minute to set yourself up. Step back. We're holding on with that right arm. Reaching up when we're ready. Leaning away from me when we're ready. Good. And again, your lunge can look like whatever you want it to look like. If it ends up having that back leg in really close here, that's totally fine. If facing the side isn't working for your population, you can always have them face forward, come to the front edge, step one leg back, and do the same kind of lean. So if you look that, oh, I'm going to need to offer some modifications here, or like Beth is doing, over to the side works. So you can play with a lot of different areas in this chair. Just remember, yes, if we can get here and over, we're really going to get into the psoas, but that might not be accessible. So anything that we want to do that's better than just sitting with our hip completely flexed is going to be a win. Then coming back to center, one or both hands lifting the chest, a little back bend, cactus arms or goalpost arms, lifting the chest. And again, you can hold on to that chair if you want. As the teacher, you'll want to demonstrate that quite often. I have noticed something that is very common as we get older populations. First of all, this music would be way too loud. So hearing isn't what it has always been. And so there's a lot more visual learning. So coming back to center, and we'll twist away. Y'all can just listen while we do this. And I'll point my voice toward you. So we're turning toward the chair and twisting like last time. This time it would be our right shoulder pulling back and our left glute squeezing. So one of the things to think about is that hearing piece. Again, y'all heard what happened when I messed with the volume in this room, so I'm going to kind of keep it where it is. But there will be a lot more visual followers as your population gets older, just for the fact that hearing isn't the first sense that they rely on. So remember that, and remember that what you say isn't as important as what you do. So you will be showing a lot of variation. Slowly coming back to center, and we're going to move all the way to the front, and then I want you to grab two things. I want you to grab your blocks. Actually, just grab one block. And then grab your strap. And we're going to kind of play. So I want to show you a lot of different variations. The first thing we're going to do is hand to big toe pose. So keep your strap handy. Put your right foot on the block and left foot flat. Now you can do this with 2 flat feet, but this gives us a little bit of hip flexion here, and it's kind of nice. Chances are you'll be in a facility that does not have the blocks, that does not have the cushions, that does not have the straps. So make sure that you're also practicing without this. We're going to start with just lifting the knee, and then arms reach out and legs reach out. So this is kind of phase 1. But if you want more, when you bend your knee, you'll put the strap underneath the foot and then kind of hold the strap as we lift. Now, the strap to the foot part is not going to be super easy for a lot of people. So if you want things to make it easy, would be block, let the strap dangle, walk the foot off the block, and then you've got it. So you don't have to actually bend down and pick it up. So you could do the 2 block thing. Just kind of play with different ways to get this on. Pretend like you can't reach your toes. Well, okay, here's my option. So there's lots of different ways to get into this. And again, do you have to use a strap? Absolutely not. Hand to big toe pose. That's a lot more on the hip flexor, I'll tell you that much. So offering that option to bend the knee is super important. Think about bringing the chest up. Think about lifting the ears up and retracting, pulling back the shoulder blades. It's a lot for the quad, right? Without that strap. That could work too. Mm-hmm. It would be okay. Yeah, between these two, absolutely. Relaxing when you're ready. Back either to the ground or to the block. We're going to go into pigeon. So you may or may not want a block for this. So pigeon, this is the beautiful thing about blocks. Put them closer together. You can have wider legs and it's fine. Pigeon, the reason I don't necessarily think you should have your foot on the block here is because you're going to have to pick this leg up higher. So let me show you pigeon. Ideally, we will have ankle over knee. And looking at the order, I would have put hand to big toe pose, eagle, then pigeon, but you can do it however you want to. But here's pigeon. So let's go ahead and find this position. We're going to take our left leg on top of our right, ankle on thigh, flexing the foot. This position is not available for everyone. So what are some different variations? Here is a variation. Just letting the hip open, right? So this is a great variation. And then above the knee, I don't like pressing on the knee. Although you would be surprised, this is more accessible usually than I think it would be. If the foot's above the knee, always remind them that flexing the foot is going to help stability. Our knee is a hinge joint. Our foot likes to make circles, our hip likes to make circles, but our knee doesn't. So to stop it from doing weird things, we just flex it. And then from here, if we want, we can add some forward flexion. This is a lovely stretch for anybody. You say it's getting into the piriformis? Mm-hmm. This is probably the go-to piriformis stretch, yeah. So especially people that complain about sciatica, this is a great stretch for them, helping open some of that up. And honestly, their PT or their doctors probably already told them to do this one. And they'll probably tell you that. Because they get excited, right? That's exciting when people can connect with something that we're doing. For eagle pose, we come into more of a cross-leg position. Now, if I have my block, this actually makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's also, once you get there, it's a little more stable. Like it's easier to get there. Once you're there, it feels nice, but getting there, it can be hard on the hips. Something that you can do in eagle pose that helps is scoot them back into their chair and let them lean back a little bit. So it might not be the perfect posture position, but what are we working on? Hip internal rotation. This is fine too. This is fine too. So we always offer this as an option, and then we've got lots of options with the arms. So the leg that's gone over is the arm that goes under. So reaching nice and long, we're going to take our left arm and hug underneath our right arm and start just by hugging ourselves. And this might be where we stop. And there are people, this is eagle for a lot of people. Other options, backs of hands together and then palms together. The one thing we want to make sure is we keep fairly straight wrists because they're going to want to hold their own hand. So fairly straight wrists. That's why sometimes I just do touch the backs of your palms together. It's actually a little bit more difficult sometimes. And then raise your elbows as high as you're comfortable. Even in the hug, raising your elbows as high as you're comfortable works. And exhale, release. Lovely stretch for the backs of the shoulders. Let's do all three on the other side. So you've done it once. Pick your favorite hand to big toe variation. I like practicing getting into this strap without having to bend down and touch my toes because it's easier to do than we think it would be. Another thing to think about, depending on your population, you might not have, especially if you're doing this maybe for someone in a wheelchair who has limited mobility. Now, obviously, we're not going to do this pose. We would do just eagle arms. We might not do pigeon. There would be things that we consider with our population. But another thing to consider is what you're going to, if you have a bunch of this stuff, you might be the one running around the room helping pick up. And I've been there before. It's totally fine, especially the second time through. Just be calm and know that you're the only one that's worried about the rush. I think that's important to remember. I think I used to be like, oh, have to get everything in, have to do this, have to do this. And really, they're fine with sitting in a chair for a little bit. If you want, you can try this without the strap. Again, kind of getting into that quadricep. Lowering the leg. Let's move into pigeon, whatever version we want to take. Sitting tall, flexing the foot, lifting, and then hinging, leaning forward. And again, as you exhale, you might find that you have a little more space. Remember that lovely stretch reflex that turns off after about 30 seconds. That's why we go to a stopping point and then, we get a little extra. Then ending with eagle, crossing our legs. The leg that's over is the arm that goes under. You pick wherever you want to be in this pose, and then lift the elbows, creating some space. Again, you can kind of lean back and use the chair support. In this one, I know we've had, and that's really the posture break, is letting them lean back in this pose. And then slowly release. Release the legs. We're going to get into a couple deeper stretches. So let's start with hamstring stretch. This one, you may want a block to bring the leg higher up off the ground if you want. If not, just do this kind of here, right? A little hamstring stretch. And you can also use the strap to pull the toes further forward, just like we do in head to knee pose. So you would just add a little bit of extra if you want to, but you don't have to. The one thing that we want to remind everyone of, hands are either holding that strap on alternating legs or on our supporting leg. One thing we don't want them to do, and this has to do with the joints and optimal range of motion, is both hands on that extended leg, because then you're pushing, pretty much you're adding weight to a knee joint, and we don't want to do that too much. Good. So letting the toes pull back toward your face so that you're getting extra through that lower leg as well. Rolling up and trying the other side. Flat foot, hinging at the hips, leaning forward. However you want to set this up, take your time. Bring this back center. One of my favorite stretches for people that have upper body mobility is called the VWLT stretch. So we start with our hands in a V. And I want you to drop your chin and send your head back like you're trying to make as many double chins as you can, right? So instead of looking up, remind them to slide back. And it's fine. No one's taking any pictures. I'm the only one on camera. So keeping your head where it is, imagine you're backing up against a wall, slide those arms down into a W. So you're pulling, you'll feel the point when your shoulder blades get active and start to pull down into place. Letting your hands come down, making an L, and then you can pull your hands back a little further. Again, imagine being back up against a wall. So as our head starts to lean off, pull it back in line. And then for our T, we have our thumbs up, pulling back as much as we can. And then thumbs point down, pull back as much as we can. Keep that head nice and lined, back up against that. Now it's more like a pole because our hands won't be able to go back so far. And if you want, you can grab the sides of your chair and go into a little bit of chest expansion. Yeah, or the bottom of your chair, whatever is available for them. Good. Releasing here. We're going to let our head go to one side. If we want, we can take that hand over and add a little extra release, reaching in opposition with the other hand. So if your hand is reaching away and flexing, do you guys feel that little kind of almost like a nerve-like sensation running down to your hand? It's a nice release. Again, you're not pulling your head, you're just adding a little extra, really stability. So if you're hugging your head into your shoulder and biceps, then you're not letting it go too far, which might be painful for some. Coming back to center, releasing our hand. Let's go to the other side. Let your head rest and then reach away. Good. Coming back to center. We know this is a shoulder stretch, but in yoga, it's like thread the needle. So we're going to take the right hand and then thread our left hand through that, applying some gentle pressure with the right forearm to make this what we call a shoulder stretch, or what we would do from child's pose in a traditional yoga class, thread the needle. Breathing, inhaling, and exhaling. Let's go to the other side. Again, lifting the left arm, creating a little cradle for our right arm to slide through, and then pulling that left arm toward us for a seated thread the needle pose. Moving now into a seated shavasana, our final relaxation. And you can really do anything that's going to help you get comfortable. You can see here I'm grabbing a bolster and using that to help sit either on or slightly behind me, watching out for, the holes in the back of the chair, things where the bolster might slide through. You can also pick up the blocks, maybe put your feet on the blocks again, but set up in a way that's going to make you comfortable. If it is chilly in the room, maybe you add a layer back on. Maybe you find that they want to slip socks on. Give everyone a second to get comfortable before you begin your final relaxation. So wherever you are, sitting in the chair, maybe rolling your shoulders back and down, maybe lifting your chest, and getting comfortable in the chair. Allow your eyes to close. Allow your shoulders to roll back. Thinking about your posture, ears, shoulders, and hips in line. And then with your next deep breath, just getting out any kinks, anything that helps you get a little more comfortable in your position. Allow your body to relax and breathe. Now let's bring your attention into your right leg. I want you to engage all of the muscles in that right leg. Maybe you start by lifting the heel, squeezing all the muscles. Maybe you extend the leg straight, squeezing everything from the bottom all the way to the top, squeezing the glute, holding as tight as you can. Squeeze, squeeze. Exhale, release. Let that leg sink heavily down. Shifting the attention into our left leg. Same thing. Let's extend the leg if we want to, maybe lifting the heel, pointing the foot, tightening all the muscles from our toe all the way up to our hip, to our glute. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Exhale and release that leg. And letting all the extra energy in our lower body from our hips drop down through our feet and out along the floor. Bring the attention now to our upper body, to our right hand, making a fist out of our right hand. Squeezing it nice and tight, and then bringing that fist up to our shoulder, tightening through the biceps and triceps, holding, squeeze, exhale, release. Moving over to our left hand. Same thing. Let's make a fist out of our left hand. Squeeze that fist, and then pull that fist up to our shoulder, tightening every muscle in that arm. Squeezing tighter and tighter, pulling in toward your shoulder, and exhale, release. Now moving into an area that we oftentimes hold tight due to stress. We're going to take our shoulders up toward our ears and just shrug our shoulders as much as we can. Squeezing, squeezing, and then we're going to use gravity to quickly exhale and drop our shoulders back into place. Now that we've kind of felt it once, let's do it again. Let's squeeze the shoulders up, holding nice and tight as we can. Squeezing, squeezing, holding, and heavily exhale, release with gravity. Now imagining any excess energy, anything that's left over from our neck down, traveling down through our body, leaving our feet and going out along the floor. Bringing the attention into our face. Can we relax our jaw? Can we separate our teeth just a little bit and allow our tongue to sink back into our mouth? Relaxing our cheeks, relaxing our eyebrows,
relaxing our temples, allowing our eyes to sink back into their sockets. Then moving up to the forehead, allowing the forehead to relax, unfurrowing the brow. Even sending the energy into our scalp, feeling as if your scalp separates just a little from your skull and everything becomes relaxed from the top of your head, dripping all the way down your body, down your legs, through your feet, and out along the floor. Breathe into this relaxed state. Feel free to stay here as long as you want. Maybe you have this on at the end of the day, and maybe you just want to use this as a transition into bedtime, and that's fine. But if you're taking a moment to just practice this yoga class, start to bring some of the awareness back into your body. And we do this with our breath. We inhale, we exhale. We feel the rise and the fall of our chest. We feel the expansion and relaxation of the belly. We slowly become more and more awake and aware, maybe hearing other sounds around us, sounds outside of this video. And allowing ourselves to readjust our posture, to sit back into an active state. And then we can open our eyes. Noticing everything around us, smiling. Thank you so much for this practice.